Can you overdose on iodine? I'm SaraBanta with Accelerated Health Products and Accelerated Health TV and radio show. This is a topic that is being debated amongst the biggest experts. So I really wanted to dive into where the confusion is coming from. So first off, people with a compromised health have far less energy to break down molecules, compounds, or complexes, including iodine, into that bioavailable form of monoatomic iodine. We're going to get into chemistry here. Not all iodines are the same. Anything not bioavailable can become foreign or toxic to the body. So let's look at them. The different forms can be useless, benign, toxic, or beneficial depending on the formula, the source of the iodine, and the chemical bonds. Yes, we're going to dive into it, chemistry kids. If the iodine supplement comes from a radiocontaminated source, or a source that's been exposed to heavy metals, that radiation and heavy metal exposure could damage the cells as it seeks out the iodine receptor sites. So what are the different forms of iodine supplements? You've got the synthetic polyvinyl polymers, like in plastics, pharmaceutical drugs, compounds, and molecules. They are used as a delivery system for iodine. In this case, the body must use its precious energy, which most of us have hypothyroidism and don't have that energy, to extract the usable unbound iodine. If the body's already depleted in energy, bioavailability determines how much bound iodine can be extracted and used or eliminated. Furthermore, the iodine utilized could be coming from a radiocontaminated source and not easily absorbed. Most iodine supplements are coming from Japan, and there was Fukushima and Chernobyl. I mean, you need to be careful with even seafood from those areas. Then you've got diatomic iodine. Since the diatomic form of iodine means two atoms that have been bounded together are diatomic, they cannot be dissolved in water. One cheap way is to add 75% potassium iodide to 25% diatomic iodine in water. And this creates a solution that is only 20 to 50% bioavailable. The challenge is that the body then has to use its own precious energy once again to break apart those molecules that break apart the potassium iodide compound into the I2 diatomic molecule in order to create that usable, unbound monoatomic iodine. Therefore, it can not only be coming from that toxic source, but it also cannot be utilized efficiently in the body. So in general, most of the tablets that you're taking, the absorption rate of iodine is about 10%. Capsules is about 20%, gel caps about 30%, liquids about 20 to 50%. So when you're looking at different iodine sources, it's really important to know where it's coming from. Now, the Acceleradine, and that is why this is the only iodine I use, is unbound I-. Go back to chemistry class. It's the correct form of iodine needed to synthesize thyroid hormones in all 100 trillion cells of the body, not just the thyroid. Iodine is most commonly found in nature bound as that diatomic molecule of iodine I2, and less commonly found during evaporation as the singlet unbound atom of iodine I-, and that is what Acceleradine is. So if the thyroid has enough energy, it can extract unbound I- from the potassium iodide. But like I said, most of us don't have that amazing cellular energy because we're depleted in iodine already. We're hypothyroidism. We're stuck in this low energy state. Mitochondrial biogenesis is suppressed in most of us right now. So that means we need to give all 100 trillion cells of our body the most bioavailable iodine that of course is radiation and toxic free. And that is why Acceleradine is the only one I'll use, because it's the I- that has 100% bioavailability. Now, when you look at side effects or allergies and why people say, oh, you need to be careful with how much iodine you're taking, most people are afraid of taking too much because of the allergies or the side effects. And most of those allergies are documented when someone reacts to, number one, iodinated contrast media is used in nuclear procedures such as radioactive iodide or non-radioactive iodide, seafood in which the iodine is protein bound, and then the reaction rather comes from the plastics, the radioactivity due to Fukushima and other nuclear disasters, or some chemicals in the substance like MSG that have replaced salt in the fish processing, or the internal mercury or the other toxic heavy metals. So it's not the unbound iodine that you're reacting to, or you could be reacting to the molecules, the compounds, the complexes of iodine that are synthetic or not readily bioavailable. So the allergy reactions are not from the unbound singlet atom of iodine, the I-, like in Acceleradine. And the thyroid requires to synthesize the hormones T4, T3, and T2, just the I-, what is in Acceleradine, and not in those other iodine supplements. So T3 is not created using one diatomic iodine molecule and one potassium iodide. It is using the I- from Acceleradine. I hope I'm making this clear. So Acceleradine is the only I- unbound single monoatomic iodine supplement that has 100% bioavailability. But where did we get confused in this iodine controversy? In 1948, there was a poorly performed study that was never replicated, concluding that theoretically hypothyroidism could occur as a result of excess iodine. And this was known as the Wolff-Chaikoff effect. Even in this study, they recommended a dose of 2,000 micrograms daily. Following this study, no clinical symptoms of hypothyroidism have ever been noted with higher doses, according to Dr. Mark Sirkis. So also, there are other reasons that practitioners fear excess iodine supplementation, because if you start using iodine, you can have a transient, meaning temporary, increase in the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, which is actually a pituitary hormone. It is the hormone that says, okay, I see what we need. We need thyroid stimulating hormone. We need thyroid hormone. We're going to send a signal to the thyroid to make T4. Okay, so when you start taking iodine, the body says, oh my gosh, not just my thyroid needs this, my whole body needs it. I'm going to start screaming at my thyroid to make more T4, and I need more iodine. So this is why this happens. The TSH stimulates the production of a sodium iodide symporter. Without enough of this, iodine cannot enter the cells and be utilized. So that's why it's screaming at the thyroid to make more of this, and we need more iodine. But this usually happens for only 6 months. Proof that an increase in TSH doesn't necessarily correlate to hypothyroidism is that people who increase their iodine do not have symptoms of hypothyroidism, such as fatigue or hair loss, headaches, weight gain, dry skin, and they maintain normal T3 and T4 levels. So how do you feel? Always look back to how you feel. TSH does not tell the whole story. Essentially, there's an increase in that TSH, like I mentioned, temporarily, because it wakes up the body in recognizing that every one of the 100 trillion cells want iodine, not just the thyroid. It's also interesting to note that when addressing the questions of safe dosage, that higher iodine dosages were being used in the early 1900s. In 1917, David Marine proved that iodine reversed goiters in a study in which 2,000 schoolgirls, 2,000 were given an equivalent of 18,600 micrograms daily for over 2.5 years with a dramatic success rate. So those dosages are way beyond what anyone is even touching now. And sadly, today, less than 20 to 25% of salt, which most people think they're getting their iodine from, is iodized. And all of those salts are full of microplastics and have stripped all of the other minerals out of them. So there's no connection to actually getting that great quality iodine that you're getting in the Acceleradine from iodized salt. There's some other studies as well. In 2023, Dr. Zhang showed that potassium iodide reversed lung cancer tumors in mice. And in 1993, Dr. Gent administered to over 1,300 patients 5,000 micrograms daily with no evidence of this hypothyroidism effect. And in the most significant study was called the Iodine Project, done from 1997 through 2005 by Dr. Abraham, Dr. Brownstein, and Dr. Fletches, followed 4,000 patients and administered over 12,500 micrograms to 100,000 micrograms daily and to diabetics, because low thyroid function is also associated with type 2 diabetes. They had positive results with only 3 adverse reactions out of 4,000 people. So there you go. And what I want to get into now we're talking about high dosing. And why are we talking about high dosing? And this is where there's a lot of confusion, even amongst the experts. So what is a safe amount of iodine to take? When we go back to chemistry, and even my girls in chemistry class don't even understand this. So really put your thinking caps on. Halogen displacement. Displacement is a scientific principle in chemistry, which elements from the same group, think down the column here, okay, on the periodic table, that have a lower atomic weight naturally displace elements in the same group with a higher atomic weight. What does this mean? The reason is that each element of a group is related via its outer shell having the same number of electrons. So they look the same. They attach to the same receptor sites. This identical outer shell allows different elements in the same group, like iodine, fluoride, chlorine, bromide, to go into that same receptor site. So what does that mean? This means that this is why fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or fluoride, chloride, bromide naturally displace precious iodine. So if you are iodine deficient, which 96% of you are, these receptor sites are going to be filled with the toxins from our environment, from our water, from other things that we are being exposed to, and radiation, and it's going to be displacing that iodine. So all of these elements have 7 electrons in their respective outer shell. Competitive inhibition is an opposing scientific principle to displacement in chemistry. And it is defined as when elements from the same group, like we were talking about, that have a higher atomic weight can forcefully displace elements in the same group with the lower atomic weight via high dosing of that element. Well, guess which one has the heavier atomic weight? Iodine. So by high dosing, you are using competitive inhibition to make sure that the toxins that we are being bombarded with that are causing hypothyroidism, chronic disease, causing the inflammation, accelerated aging, insulin resistance, all of these diseases that we are being bombarded with and that there are unexplained could be from these toxins. So by using competitive inhibition with high dosing of monoatomic iodine, you are making it so your body's not going to actually have those other foreign toxic elements get into those receptor sites. High dosing of iodine is a must since it needs to forcefully displace the halogens in an already seriously iodine deficient world. Now, when you look at magnesium and calcium, this is the other example where we need to high dose on magnesium more than ever. So although taking magnesium is a must, success is sooner than with iodine because high dosing magnesium is not a must, relatively speaking, but it displaces calcium, and calcium's been put into our orange juice and our cereals, and we actually don't need as much as they are putting in there. We need the magnesium. So no one has ever died from iodine overdosing or allergic reactions. That is something important to understand. You want to make sure that you are taking the Acceleradine monoatomic iodine, also enhanced with scalar frequencies, to detox the cells and the thyroid of heavy metals and radiation. This is the one supplement that I recommend for every single person on earth. And I hope this clears up the confusion behind overdosing on iodine. Thanks for joining me. If I can help you, contact me through my website, SaraBantaHealth.com. Happy to put together a protocol for you. What did you learn today? What is your doctor telling you about iodine? Leave a comment below and let me know if you're struggling with hypothyroidism or energy issues or toxicity. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Be the first to watch my new podcast every Mondays and Tuesdays, and you can join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health. Thanks again, and see you in the next podcast.